Thanks for tuning in to The Real Deal Show, brought to you by eBodyboarding.com and Tribe Boards.
Well, hey everybody, Jay Reale back at you with another episode of The Real Deal Show, and we are at the Boogie Fest here at Oceanside Harbor, brainchild of Patty Serrano. And speaking of Patty Serrano, I have her sister here next to me. And why is that of any significance to you? I'll tell you why, because this is Debbie Colwell. Hello, Debbie.
Hi, Jay.
Handshake there. How you doing?
Good.
And if you don't know who Debbie is, you really should, because she has a massive role to play in the history of bodyboarding. And we got some celebrations happening, so please beware. Let me fix my camera here. Hang on. We got a lot of activity going on around here. But Debbie is one of the very first people that worked at the Tom Morey factory. We were talking back in the 70s, and later went on to start probably the oldest American bodyboard brand, I think it is, in the world. That's Custom X. This is the founder of Custom X. Debbie Colwell, you have been in this sport for some 50 years now.
Yeah, pretty close.
And you are now retired.
Yeah, I've been retired for 2 years.
So she finally got out of it after so many years, so many innovations, so many contributions to our sport. And I thought today's a great chance for us to get right into the whole history of this thing with Debbie. So Debbie, I mean, let's go way back. We've heard Patty's story, and I will link that at the top of the screen, my interview with your sister, Patty. But your history is a little different. I mean, you started way back. Glenn, did you grow up? I mean, I know you didn't grow up at the beach, because I talked to Patty. Sorry, there's a lot going on right now. But I know you didn't start living at the beach, but tell me your story and how it led you to get involved with the Tom Morey company making bodyboards.
Okay, I grew up in the Costa Mesa, Newport Beach area, and Pat and I, when I was younger, we moved to Carlsbad.
Okay.
And Tom Morey,
sorry about that.
Tom Morey lived right around the corner from us, and he asked us if we wanted to work for him.
Okay.
And of course, Pat got a sales job because she's 10 years older than me, and I got to work in the factory. And we both started working there back when I was 21 years old, and I've been in the industry ever since.
Yeah. So were you looking for a job at the time, and you just saw, yeah, sure, that sounds like
I
a good
had
job?
a part-time job, and I was going to college. So when he offered it, when I was working part-time, I was traveling to Newport Beach.
Okay.
So when he offered a job in town, I took it right away.
What was the part-time job you were doing?
When I first started, I was shrink wrapping boards.
Okay.
And then I moved into production. I started doing some things on production, trimming boards and heating up with a heat gun. They call it a heat gun, and jobs like that. I did every job there possible.
I think most of the people that worked there were in the same boat, right? Everyone did a little bit of everything, whatever was needed.
Right,
jump in,
whatever
right?
was needed, yeah.
And so you learned how to make a bodyboard from start to finish.
Right.
Obviously, just by osmosis, I guess you could say, by working there.
Yep.
And so tell me how the progression went. Were you bodyboarding, first of all? Were you riding?
I was a surfer since I was 14 years old.
Wow.
Super into surfing. I mean, I wanted to be a professional, but I had to work. When we started at Morey Boogie, it was hard for me, honestly, to get used to a bodyboard.
Yep.
Because it's a different perspective. Surfing, you're higher, bodyboard, you're lower.
Yep.
But I did do it, and it came out with soft surfboards, and I did that a lot. But I did take up bodyboarding. I was in a few contests with Pat, and
who was better?
Oh, God.
Hold on, I want to make sure we record this, and then it's loud and clear when you say it. Hang on, I'm just getting this all situated. So, okay, who was better?
Pat and I still argue about this because I've always been kind of the athlete of the family. But she has her sport. Look at her; she's looking at me right now. But she has her sports where she actually was better than me. Okay. I'll give her that. Bodyboarding, she was the bomb. I mean, that girl rode. She's looking at me right now. She
She's
wrote
listening
big words
with bated breath over here.
Big waves.
Running. She's saying
she rode big waves. I was actually impressed by her. We were in a contest together. I swear I beat her.
You can duck your head in
All
here.
my friends said I beat her, and she beat me. I was so mad.
The sibling rivalry
I was so mad that
continues.
yeah. But I'll give her props when it's needed.
So you were working at the factory, and then at some point, all that ended. Did that happen when the brand was sold to Kransco?
Yeah, the Maury Boogie was sold to a larger company called Kransco.
Yep.
Kransco eventually moved manufacturing to Mexico.
Okay.
At that time, Bobby Zabad asked me to come work with him in a new company called Scott Hawaii.
Oh.
And it was down in San Diego, so him and I drove to work together. We got it going. It got pretty big at one point. He left to form BZ. I stayed on as the manager of Scott Hawaii until they eventually moved their company. Then I worked out in the country with Ape. I don't know if you remember Ape.
Yeah, the gloves.
The gloves.
Yep.
That guy and I formed a company together. We worked here in Oceanside, small company, and then I started getting larger orders, and I started Custom X originally to do custom boards when I was at Scott Hawaii.
Okay.
And all of a sudden it started taking off. I had to.
So you were known as like the custom board person.
Yes.
You were the go-to.
Right. Yeah.
And that was mainly for team riders or the general
public?
public?
I got to tell you, my first year doing custom boards, and this was also revamping boards. Like a guy would have a 22-inch board, he wanted to be 19 inches or 18 inches. I would fix it so that it was a slimmer board because there wasn't many choices back then.
Okay.
My first year, I did 500 boards, and that was all on the side.
Jeez.
Still working 40 hours at Scott Hawaii and then doing custom on the side.
So you were laying the groundwork for what was to be Custom X.
Right.
And then how long did you do that with Scott Hawaii?
9 years I was working with Scott Hawaii, and I did it maybe toward the last 4 years or so, 3 or 4 years.
And like you had guys like Bobby Zabad had models with Scott, the BZ Custom.
At one point, and then Bobby went off on his own with BZ.
To start BZ, which is a misnomer because it's really BS, but you don't want to call a company BS, right? So he took the second letter in his last name, BZ.
Yeah.
No offense, Bobby Zabad, I love you, dude. He's living over there on the East Coast now. I don't know if he'll see this, but hopefully he does. So Patty, at what point did Custom X become a thing? Like, when did you go, I'm going to start my own thing?
Actually, the owner of Scott Hawaii, his right-hand man, said to me one day, why don't you do customs? We get a lot of inquiries about customs. I go, oh, I can do that. And so they let me do it on the side. And so I had to pay him a certain amount of material and charge whatever I wanted, and which was nice. And I was very honest about it. I made sure I paid them exactly what I owed them, and it just took off. And the name Custom X kind of took off as custom at first, and then eventually store-bought boards, which I did on my own.
Like stock models, you mean?
Yes,
so
yes.
What's the X? Why did you add the X? Just because it sounded hardcore?
No, I did it because I wanted to see the board, like down the beach, I wanted a big X on it. I want people to say, oh, look at that big X.
A marketing thing.
Yeah,
I like that.
right.
Okay.
And then I was talking to a guy by the name of Aaron Checkwood, and we were talking about it. He goes, well, call it Custom X. Okay, good idea.
I still see Aaron in the water, by the way. I saw him last weekend at T Street. That's cool.
I think he was one of my first team riders, too. So,
wow. So now you obviously, at some point, you said, okay, I'm going to do my own thing. I need to get a location. I need to order all the, well, I guess you already knew how to get all the materials because you were doing it for Scott Hawaii.
Well,
you
guy
know how to make the boards.
The guy from Ape set up a little shop in Oceanside, and a group from China contacted me and said, can you make 50 boards? So I made 50 boards, and they came back, okay, here's your order, 500 boards. I didn't have the money to make 500 boards.
Yeah.
I didn't have the employees to make 500 boards.
Wow.
So I went to BZ, and I said, can you make me 500 boards? I'll pay you. You make them to my designation or my dimensions or whatever.
With my logo.
Yeah, and they said, yeah, we'll do it. I go, oh, and by the way, can I pay you after they're done? Which is unheard of. He said yes.
Bobby.
Tony Glyden.
Tony Glyden. I remember that name, yes.
And he did it.
Wow.
And I got the check from China and walked his portion over that day. I was so grateful. But the thing is, it was about at the time, about a $30,000 order, and I think I made maybe $300.
Oh, wow. But you established the integrity and the relationship with Tony to move forward and expand on that.
Right.
And to me, that's more important than the small profit you made, right? Because that started the building process.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah, because I mean that doesn't always exist in the surf industry.
Yeah.
You know, people say, "Oh yeah, man, I'm gonna sure, send me the bill," and then they never get paid, right? So you were right there, like the day you cashed the check.
Yeah, that's true. Because I was grateful for him to. Do that for me.
Right. Who wouldn't be? Jeez, I mean, that's a big risk on his part.
Yeah. I had a few guys working for me.
Yep.
The X-Man, we called him X-Man because
Mike Fleming.
Yeah, but at the time he didn't want anybody to know because he was moonlighting. He helped me a lot, that guy.
Wow.
And so, we started getting more orders in the stores, and eventually Dave Kniff came up to me and said, hey, I got this millionaire guy that wants to invest. And it wasn't Dave Kniff, it was another guy. But he wanted Dave Kniff in sales, me doing the production, and he put in the money. So we formed Superior Foam Products. The name was Ron Norick, and we were going to do Custom X and hopefully other things with Superior Foam Products. And we moved across the street in a bigger building and have been there ever since.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, does the company own that building, or is it under a...
No, I wish we would have owned it because we thought at one time of buying a building, but
it's a big leap to make, you know, but of course it's always the case with real estate. In hindsight, you're like, oh man, I should have bought it 30 years ago.
Absolutely.
Yeah, oh, sorry, I'm just saying goodbye to this guy. Say goodbye to the camera. You're in Debbie's podcast. That's okay, dude. No, we love it, man.
No
it's
problem,
great.
Joe.
That's Joe Evans,
Bye,
another
Joe.
podcast with him. So did you personally train all the guys and girls that made boards at your factory? I mean, were you
some of them, yeah. Mike eventually came to work with me, and Mike, and of course Pete and Naya, PMA, and eventually they did all the training. I didn't need to train them really much because they had worked for BZ for a while.
Got it.
But I have trained people in my life.
But what would you consider, once you started Custom X, what would you consider your strength in that company? Like, what did you handle?
Well, I handled the unfun stuff, which was the administration stuff, taxes, workman comp, audits. But I also got out there and worked and helped with the designing of logos and stuff. I mean, Pete did a lot of that. But at the beginning, I did a lot of it.
Were you doing the website and all?
Yeah,
I mean, that. You were
I learned
building
Photoshop. I learned Photoshop on my own, and I did a lot of stuff. It was a lot of my ideas, but a lot of other people's ideas too. Pete had a lot of ideas. Mike Fleming came up with our new logo at one point. But I was just kind of like the figurehead that ran it all, and hopefully let people do their thing,
Yes, and it's what I love about that is that until you stepped down a couple years ago, you ran Custom X like a small business. You were at the helm the whole time. You didn't just hire people and then step away.
Yeah.
You were involved, and you were there for the day-to-day. Like, you could go out on the factory floor and go, nah, that shrink wrap's not quite right. Oh no, you need to trim that rail. You knew every aspect of that business, how to run it, how to do it. So if, Armageddon happened and you were the last one in the Custom X factory, you could physically get boards out the door and still do the taxes and the workman's comp and all that stuff if you had to.
Well, when COVID hit, it was Pete and myself.
Oh my gosh.
You know,
yeah, because you couldn't have people in there, right?
No.
Because of the COVID risk.
No.
Wow. So were you actually physically making boards again?
Yeah.
No way.
When
Wow.
COVID hit, and then that summer it got super busy, and then the next year was super busy, we couldn't get employees in there.
Yeah.
They would say, okay, I'll be there Monday, and never show up.
Oh, man.
So guess who got to go out there for about 4 hours?
Yeah, because they were giving people money for free, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
didn't even have to show up for work. The government's giving
That's
you
right.
checks.
Yeah,
So
it was
it was hard to get people to
It was
work in
tough.
every sector of industry
Yeah.
or business. And so you continued the company, you kept it going. Obviously, those are the busiest years in the history of your business,
Absolutely.
my business. And to hear that you managed to, you and Pete, I can't imagine the
Yeah.
hours that you were putting in. And you had JoJo working with you as well.
Yes. Yep.
Was she working during that time?
Yeah, she kept the sales going. We were doing a lot of online stuff, and
Yeah.
when you only have 2 people, plus I was helping, and we bought bullies, and I think 20,
Yeah, the leash brand, right?
2012 or something like that.
Yep.
So I'd go in there doing the leashes also, so.
That's as hands-on as it gets,
Yeah,
folks.
I just wanted to learn how to do everything. I'm not going to say like I can make a bodyboard look very well, because
Yeah.
there were some things that they got, Pete got so beyond how they're made, he's at another level, just put it that way.
Huh.
So
He was getting philosophical about it, kind of thing.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's taken over now the business pretty much and doing all that, and I'm glad, because he was probably a little stifled by me, because I did have the final say.
Right.
When you have the final say, as Pete does now, it's freeing. I hope he feels free.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah. Well, he's still there.
Yeah.
That says a lot, right? So, I mean, you did it for so many years. You saw every change in the industry and the sport. Talk about, like, even just pick one significant change in the industry that you saw. And, I'm going to kind of lead you by saying, obviously, a lot of production went overseas.
Yes.
So tell me about that.
Well, that is the biggest change, because the pricing. All of a sudden they're selling $29.99 boards in Costco. People have a perceived value, and then they see a board for $229. They go, okay, well, what's the difference?
Right.
But I think eventually people knew that there is a difference.
Yep.
You go to the store, you see a stereo for $29.95, and you see one for $500. There's a big difference there.
Yep.
People got savvy, so that did help. But that definitely changed the industry when China came in with their product, for sure.
So it made it a lot harder for you to turn a profit, I'm sure. Because you had American labor costs, American material costs, operating costs, which obviously we know overseas a lot of those costs are much lower.
Yeah.
The ace in the hole, I suppose, for you was that you didn't have the same freight costs,
right,
at least shipping to American retailers. But yeah, I mean, you weathered that storm and somehow managed to continue in business. What was your niche? I mean, what was the niche that kept you going through those times?
Well, I think our ability to change. I'll give you an example. I don't know if you guys remember the C4. We had a board called the C4. 4 California guys designed this board. We came up with the idea. Within 3 or 4 days, that board's done. We got it, packaging, the logo, everything done. We were able to move pretty fast.
Yes.
So if someone said, hey, we want this board, we were able to move really fast.
And now that takes months to do with all the stuff involved.
We kept our machinery really simple so we could change and,
Well, let me ask you along those lines. I want you to take credit for an innovation that you feel that Custom X contributed to Bodyboards. I know you were there for a lot of it, whether it be bottom contours or whatever. What do you feel most proud of, or can you tell me about any significant?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple things. I remember I was shaping a board at Scott, Hawaii for Howley Reeves, and he actually came up with a channel. It was the first time I seen one. I made one for him, so we were the first to do that. I was the first to do the edge board. I don't know if you remember that, Scott, Hawaii.
Yes.
I came up with that material on the bottom. Came up with split decks. We did that at Scott, Hawaii. Not that they're a big invention, but we came up with that. Different ideas and shapes and stuff like that, and logos. As far as one big one, I can't think of a big one, but many little ones that I feel like I was a part of.
You had one of the earlier bat tails on the market.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't remember even stringers and boards. I can't remember. Maybe the Mori Mach 10 was one of the early stringer boards, but Custom X had.
Yeah, we started that.
Kind of pioneered that and the bat tail.
Yeah, yeah. I think Mike and Pete came up with the bat tail design.
Yep.
We actually put a bat on our boards and just called it a bat tail. And was it Warner Brothers, or one of them actually got a letter from Warner Brothers? Couldn't sell it.
Really?
Had to change the logo.
Oh.
Because it had a bat on it from Batman.
Like Batman. Oh my gosh. Oh, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
We tried square tails. We did the Vice board.
Yeah.
It was real popular.
Unique contour.
Yeah. Some
bottom.
of them were beyond their, or I should say before their time.
Yeah, like the market didn't know what to make of it.
They didn't know what to make.
They didn't buy it because it was too far out. Right.
Yeah.
Now it's like that's standard issue to have like weird contours in the bottom.
Yeah.
That's what everyone's doing now. So, and over the years you had some really high-profile riders riding for the company. Talk about a couple of those riders. I mean, Fred Booth
was real popular.
Yep.
I took him on in the very beginning. He's very photogenic. Robbie Crawford, Jordan Hetrick, and Rollins Woods were our team that everybody loved. That team.
This is in the 90s. They were like 90s, a core group.
David Hubbard. He turned out to be one of the best drop knee guys besides Jay Reale.
No, he's way better than me. 10 times world champ.
But super, super nice guy.
Yep.
And we had him, and then we started picking different guys that were kind of more territorial.
Okay.
Regional.
Region.
Yeah, regions I meant. And
you have a guy named Miguel Torres
in
Miguel? Mexico. He's still riding Custom X.
Love that guy. That guy lives and breathes Custom X.
Yeah.
Miguel. And then we had some international guys in Puerto Rico, and things change, and they I don't know who they have right now, but we just tried to bring on people that were recommended to us after a while from other riders, and that's kind of like a team later on.
Yeah.
Is that type of people.
Well, you had production for other companies under your roof as well. Talk about the brands that you've made boards for.
Cartel's one of them.
Yep.
We had Cartel for a very long time. A great relationship with Paul Clare, the owner. He had a whole little different vibe. We distributed for Manta for a while. We didn't make their boards, but we did. We do the Flow Rider boards right now. All the Flow Rider boards.
And Madrid as well.
Yeah, we did Madrid, and some don't want to really be known that we made their boards.
Got it. Understood.
But those guys.
You're on our podcast right now. Yeah, Pete.
Yeah, we did Madrid for a while there. Yep, that's for sure.
Right on. And other brands who will remain unnamed.
Yeah,
brands. You've done a lot of different production. So, I mean, you've been there, done that. You finally decided at some point, man, I've done my time in this industry. I'm ready to step down. Anything that prompted that decision, or you were just ready?
I was ready because I'll be honest with you. Don't tell anybody beyond this podcast. But I just turned 69 years old.
Ah, come on, you're young. I'm 60, so come on.
At 66,
no one's
I know
old to
we're
me.
young. We're young.
Yeah.
At 66,
thanks.
I wanted to be let go.
Yeah.
I mean, I needed to let go.
Yeah, I was going to say, be let go. You're the boss.
To move on and do some things.
Right.
It's stressful business. It's bad. And I went through the recession of 2029. I'm sorry.
2008, 2007, 2008, 2009. Yeah, that was a
COVID.
rough time.
I was worn out from COVID.
Yeah.
And my business partner that originally put in the money had passed away, and his daughter's taken over, Kim Norick now.
Okay.
So luckily she was able to do that, and I could go on and move on with my life. So that's where it stands right now.
Was it a tough transition in terms, just let's talk first about the business aspect. Like, okay, I have all these assets, all the machines, all the, I handle all the books and all that. Trying to teach her how it all works, was that a long process?
I think I spent about 6 months just teaching everything I possibly could to her, and Pete took over some of the duties. Kim did, and just trying to do it. And then I'm still available if they have questions.
Okay.
But for just going in every day after I said I was the cutoff date, I think it was 6 months, and I went in every day.
Wow.
And just tried to.
You were like, I want to do this right and make sure she's comfortable with me. And you probably, knowing you probably said, look, we're done, but I'm available.
Yeah.
And probably does she still consult with you occasionally?
Once in a while she'll have a question like, hey, do you know where the this or that is? Or, once in a while, but she has pretty much moved ahead. And I was glad. There wasn't any regrets.
Good.
Once I knew that it was time for me to move on, I was comfortable with it.
And so now that you're comfortable with it, what do you do to occupy your days? Like, how are you enjoying your retirement?
Okay, so I knew I was going to take up photography again because I had done it earlier in my life, took class, and I knew I was going to. And then I thought, okay, I love sunsets and landscaping, and then I thought, oh, you know what? I'll take some pictures of birds. I'm going to challenge myself that in 1 year I'm going to take 30 birds, different species of birds.
Okay.
30. Like 30.
Yeah.
In my first month I got 30.
And so you're a bit of an ornithologist.
Yeah, I'm
your
a
bird species.
Geeky, crazy bird lady now, so.
It's either cat lady, bird
yeah, they
lady,
call me a crazy bird lady.
I love it. So you spend your days kind of probably get out of bed and cruise, and then I'm going to go out and look for some birds, take pictures. What do you do with the photos?
Well, I walk a lot on these trails. I find different trails.
Yep.
And there's also like rare bird alerts where I go try to find this rare bird.
Yes.
And so I walk a lot, which has helped me with my diabetes and keep that at bay.
Yeah.
I walk a lot now. I get out into nature. The birds are even secondary to just trying to find them and stuff,
Yeah.
And then I get to try my photographic skills, So
what do you do with the photos?
I put them up on my Facebook and show people, and they love it. I was surprised at how many people really love to see it,
I surf at Trestles almost every day, and there's a great little natural area down there. I always see people bird watching.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, big time. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not into that, but I see people doing it all the time down there.
Yeah.
So hey, you should make a trip up to San Clemente and.
I will. It's a perfect kind of retirement thing to do.
Good for you.
Because you have the time to go out and see different.
Now, traveling. I mean, some people love to travel. I would suspect running that business, you probably never got a chance. Is that something you like to do? You aspire to do?
I love to travel. Yes, I do. I'm going to go to different places, actually in the United States, and eventually, do some cruising and stuff like that. But seeing some of the states that have really pretty exotic birds.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm into right now.
Yeah, so you stick with the theme.
Yeah.
I get it. Okay.
2 years from now, I may be into something different. That's how I roll sometimes. But for right now, I'm enjoying it.
And you feel your stress level has just melted away, right? It's gone.
It's crazy.
I'm saying this like a person who's like dreaming to be in that position where I can just not have the stresses of running a business and just go surf and then take a nap.
Oh yeah.
Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah. My friends always laugh at me because I never know what day it is.
I love it. That's how retirement should be, by the way.
Yeah.
And you earned it. So how many years did you make bodyboards before you retired? You were in that industry for
21 years in the industry.
Yeah.
I started Custom X in 1988.
Yep.
So what's that? Almost 30 years at Custom X, and then about 10 prior.
Wow.
So about 40 years. It's all I've known all my life is bodyboards,
amazing.
you know?
Yeah.
So,
love it.
yeah.
Well, so that is the story of Debbie Colwell. Any last words? Any final?
No, I mean,
thoughts?
I love seeing all the people from back when, like even today I saw some people. I do want to thank all the people along the way that have helped me in my career back when.
Yeah.
Jay being one of them. You know?
Thank you.
And
by the way, sorry to interrupt, but Custom X was one of the first 2 brands that sold to us when we started eBodyboarding.com, Viper Fins being the other.
Yeah.
And we are eternally grateful for them having trust in our business where a lot of the industry didn't. So thank you for that.
yeah,
Debbie.
well, thank you for being a loyal customer all those years. But
no worries.
yeah, I mean, I've had a great time, and I've met a lot of great people. I've just enjoyed that. When I was there, I enjoyed it in the industry. So I still like to come out in these type of things and see all the people like Jay and everybody. And but I'm enjoying my retirement.
Right on.
I wish Custom X the best of luck, you know, and everybody else in the industry.
Well, that is how you do it, folks. Like Debbie Colwell has done it, and we can all aspire to be in the position she's in now, where we can just kind of like say, okay, I'm done working, I want to relax. And I really appreciate your time. You know, I know it's been an amazing day here at the Boogie Fest here in Oceanside, seeing old faces. The people that we've known for so long, but I've always wanted to get you in here because you have such a significant place in the history of this sport. You know, from a shaper, company owner, manufacturer perspective, and you had a huge influence on so much of the industry. So kudos to you for all the hard work. And folks, I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Real Deal Show. And if you liked it on YouTube, give us the thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel. And if you listened on the audio podcast, hope you enjoy that while you were doing whatever it is you do when you listen to audio podcasts. We'll see you the next time we do one of these, and we'll see you in the surf.